Have you been worried about what's been happening specifically? Like you saw the Dutch farmer stories over in Europe, and it seems like the green movement is really starting to push more into the agricultural space, whether that be on what types of fertilizers people can use, wanting farm equipment to be electric. But just really like it seems like that's kind of been a focus area now. It's like they've been
Yeah.
attacking oil and gas, but if you look at the global emissions, there's a lot of emissions farming. There's also a lot of emissions with golf courses too. They haven't gone after them yet. We'll see if they do, but it seems like agriculture
Great
is
point.
squarely in the crosshairs.
Yeah. I'm going to steal that one. That's a great point because they golf, right? So who cares about
Yeah.
farmers? Sure, they eat meat, but they don't really want to know where it came from or how it got to the plate. They just go to Morton's and order it, and they expect it to arrive, and they'll send it back if it's wrong. Yeah, I am definitely concerned. What's happening in Europe is a lot faster than what happens here, but that's unsurprising. The green movement in Europe has 20 years more in its history than Americans does. And they also have the results, right? They have their outrageously expensive utility costs, gas prices, food costs. Americans take their kids to Europe. Yeah, so for summer break, and they fill up the rental car, and they can't believe how expensive it is a gallon, $6-7, and then you find out, ooh, that's a liter. That's not a gallon, and they can't believe that that's what Europeans pay for, and that's 20 years of the environmental left winning, and so now it's unsurprising they're going after farmland. It's the next battle. The biggest battle I've seen here in America is not so much to go after farmers, although I think it will happen, but it's to confiscate land. For
Mm.
wind and solar to be viable, it needs hundreds of thousands, if not millions, if not tens of millions of acres of land. You just look at the footprint of these wind and solar farms and how few megawatts they produce in electricity, that if we're going to power the whole country with green technology, which we never will. Let's just make that clear. But if we're going to pretend that that's the goal, you need a lot of land. Government's not going to turn over its land. And so they need private land. So I've been doing town halls all around the country in small farm towns, very honestly saying, look, I don't blame you. This guy knocks on your door and says, lease me grandpa's 1,000 acres. Here's what we'll pay. It looks attractive. Farming is hard. It's physically exhausting. Doesn't always pay well. I am not surprised if you want to sign over the lease and say, absolutely, put up wind turbines, put up solar panels, but just know what you're getting into before you sign on the dotted line. And I've given a lot of long town halls. I gave one in Greeley, Nebraska. Half the town showed up. Half the town is 250 people, but half the town showed up, and it was 4 hours of asking questions before they sold their land to Big Green. And why is Big Green buying? Because we just gave them $500 billion in the Inflation Reduction Act. So they have a boatload of money right now from the government, but they need land, and we own the land. Farmers own the land. So I threw out this open invitation anytime I'm allowed. You want to have a town hall or a Q&A? I will fly to where you are. I don't ask for a stipend. I don't ask for you to pay my travel. This is what my job is. This is why I raise money for Power of the Future. And let's just do a quiet question and answer town hall. I'm getting long-winded, but I will just finish with this. Simple thing I said to the folks in Greeley. They are paying you this amount of money per month to produce electricity. What happens if it doesn't produce electricity? Meaning, tornado blows through. This is tornado country. I asked, is this tornado country? And everyone kind of laughed. Yeah, of course it's tornado country. Tornado comes through, knocks down the entire wind farm. Are you getting paid that month? Are you responsible for the cleanup on your field? Here's another question. Every one of those wind turbines has about 8,000 gallons of fluid because they are machines, right? They're turning parts. There's ball bearing fluid. There's hydraulic fluid. There's a lot of fluid in these things. Tornado blows them to smithereens, leaking everywhere. Has anyone done an environmental impact statement on your farmland and the aquifer of 45, 50 wind turbines, every one of them leaching 8,000 gallons of fluid? Next question. Are you responsible for cleaning up that fluid? And of course, no one knows the answer. And I said, folks, I don't know the answer to that question. And this is where I get angry. But because the company was there in the room and they said for legal reasons, they are not allowed to participate in this question and answer session. And I said, folks, do you want to answer that question? Come up here with me. Take the microphone. These are honest questions. Answer them. Nope. Don't you want to
Yeah.
know if you're responsible for that? Solar farms, when they break, and they break because they are made of crystalline quartzite, they're not glass, they break, hail, tornadoes, and when they break, they leach toxic chemicals as well. Who's supposed to
Yeah.
clean up the broken glass? Who's supposed to clean up the fluid? No answer. Now answer me this. Do you want to sign over the farmland? 75-year lease, 50-year lease? Maybe you want to get the answers to those questions before Big Green goes after the farm. So, sorry, and long answer, but I've been doing this a lot and I want to do it more. I'm not telling you not to lease your land at all. You do what's right for you, but you should know all these things before you sign over the lease.